Hey everybody, Coach Mark here. Before I dive into today's topic, make sure to find me over on Instagram as Coach Mark Estrebio. Also, I offer one-to-one coaching. It's what I do full-time, and the odds are very, very good. I would love to work with you. With that being said, let's get into it. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I like to approach warm-ups based on what I'm doing in that given lifting session. Now, with respect to warm-ups, I believe it was Fred Hatfield who said that you can't fry fat in a cold pan, so a good warm-up is very important in my opinion. However, I don't think you need to be spending 20-30 minutes foam rolling this, that, and the other. Overall, what a warm-up should do is increase your overall/core temperature, hence warm-up, activate relevant muscles for the day's work, and I also like to think about potentiating the nervous system and get me locked in for the work of the day, right? Now, I tend to use a two-stage warm-up, with that first phase being more combination of cardiovascular as well as catching a pump in the relevant muscles, and then a small dose of plyometric work. So let's go ahead and dive into what that might look like. If you look on screen, here's an example of how I might go about warming up for a deadlift session. So in part one, I'm going to do 2 to 4 rounds of a 300 to 500 meter row, 15 standing cable crunches, and then 8 bodyweight split stance RDLs each side. And I have some variability in there just based off how I'm feeling that day. You know, I am on my feet all day. I work full time as a personal trainer in addition to this. So with that in mind, I don't need as much warming up as someone who is maybe at a desk all day and then drives into the gym, because I have been moving around all day. So then after that warm-up series, which does activate my lats, my quads, my glutes, and hamstrings, while also loosening my lower back, I can move into the second part where I'm going to do 3 trap bar jumps with the bar empty and then 15 kettlebell swings. This pairing gets me hinging, it gets me doing it explosively, snappily, and has just a tiny bit of conditioning benefit to help prolong that warming of the midline before I go into my deadlifts. I also find that having that explosive work helps me reset mentally and lock in for the session. Now here are a few more options depending on what the main lift of the day is. First and foremost, let's look at the bench. Your opening cardiovascular and pump series would consist of a row, some pullovers, and then a tricep press down, after which you'd move into some plyometric push-ups and a med ball slam. Now as far as the plyo push-ups go, these could be done off of the ground where you're doing a clapping push-up. It could be done off of the floor, just coming up and thinking that your hands pop off the floor at the top of the push-up. Do them off a bench. Whatever works for you, you just want to think explosive, snappy tempo. Now for the squat series, what I like to do is I'm going to start with an air bike for 8 calories, then I'm going to move into 15 hamstring curls, and then 15 terminal knee extensions. Now, something you could do, I would normally do this, but right now the weather is not allowing me to, is instead of terminal knee extensions, I would do a reverse sled drag. We just want to think about movements that get a ton of blood into the muscles right around the knee. Pumping the hamstrings is an old trick from John Meadows, really helps with knee stability, and then for me, getting a little pump just in the quads there before I squat makes it feel a little bit better and helps my brain go, oh right, use the quads to help me squat a bit more. Then after that, I actually do a tempo body weight squat. So I come down doing about a 3 count and then pop right back up, and then some box jumps. Now the reason why I pair a slower movement with an explosive movement here is just for me personally, squats are an awkward movement. I've got really long femurs, so I like to do a bit of contrast here. So I think control and then explosivity before moving into the squat for the day. And then last but not least, if your main lift is an overhead for your opening series, you might do something such as a 500 meter ski, then 5 windmills each side, and then 15 overhead tricep extensions. Now the reason I like the windmill here is it's going to help activate a lot of those shoulder stabilizers. It's going to get you rotating a little bit, especially if you're doing something like a log clean and press. It's not just your upper body that's going to be active in that movement. So by doing a windmill, you are going to engage the hips, you're going to engage the serratus, you're going to get the deep obliques, the hip rotators, this, that, and the other. So it just helps make for a more stable press. Then after that, you could do something like a dumbbell push jerk as well as med ball slams from overhead to help potentiate and get a little bit more explosive. Now something you can do with any of these as well is, rather than doing 2 explosive movements like I did in the squat, you could pick one tempo variation and then go into an explosive variation if you find you need a little bit more work on your control with the movement as opposed to purely acceleration. Play with it, see which one you like more, which one helps feel better going into the session. Now on screen here is a good kind of generic template you can use to build your own warm-ups. So in series 1, you're going to pick a cardio piece that complements whatever the main lift of the day is, and you want to think that the interval you're doing takes 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's where the 8 calories or 500 meter row or whatever it is that I was using on those other slides came from. That's just a rough duration there. And then a big stabilizer muscle or a positional drill for the main lift. So for example, if I'm doing bench press, One of the big muscles is going to be the lats and stabilizing it, and then I might hit triceps thereafter. You want to think 12 to 15 repetition range here. We're just getting a good pump in those muscles, getting blood into them, helping them get activated between bouts of the cardio. And this shouldn't take very long, even if you are doing a 2-minute cardio bout and then the 2 isolation movements. After 4 rounds, it shouldn't take you much more than 10 to 12 minutes because it's a very brisk pace. And then after that, you're going to pick 5 reps each of either a tempo or an explosive movement. You could do 2 tempo movements, you could do 2 explosive, or you could do 1 tempo, 1 explosive. Play with it, see which one you like more. This whole warm-up shouldn't take much more than 15 minutes. It keeps it very efficient as well, because what's going to happen as a result of this warm-up is you're not going to need as many warm-up sets to get to your working weights on the main lift of the day. Now that said, I do love my warm-up circuits, but if you're not able to do it as a circuit, make it very simple. You can start with 5 to 10 minutes on the elliptical, then do 3 rounds of 15 to 20 each, band pull-aparts and overhead tricep extensions, and then 3x3 plyo push-ups if you were doing bench press that day, for example. This is going to be a lot less equipment intensive, a lot less intrusive, especially if your gym is still very packed whenever it is you're working out. Again, the whole process should not take very long, and the idea here, by adding in a little bit of plyometric work, that's going to help you get more out of your workout. You're going to be able to accelerate the weights, you're going to be able to move with intention, and mentally lock in. Also, personally, when it comes to my warm-up time, I tend to switch my phone over to Do Not Disturb. That way, it's just me, the weights, and what it is I need to get done. So that's a really brief overview on how you might go warming up for your strength sessions. I hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions, let me know down below in the comments section. I always appreciate your comments and questions. The best questions are ones I will turn into topic videos. You folks have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video.